The palace of Emperor Vayon loomed like a shard of obsidian against the twin suns of Archon Prime. Its towers pierced clouds of violet gas, and terraces overlooked a sprawling city of chrome and crystal. Within the palace, halls echoed with the hum of energy fields, servants gliding silently along corridors, and the low, restrained growl of something ancient and feared. That something was the EmperorsBeast, a creature of legend known simply as Rathak. Its size was unimaginable, taller than 3 men stacked atop one another, with obsidian scales that shimmered like liquid metal. Its eyes glowed with deep gold, and when it moved, even the walls vibrated under the weight of its claws. No handler had succeeded in taming Rathak. Not one. Soldiers, mystics, and trainers from across the galaxy had tried and failed. Many emerged scarred, some not at all. The Emperor regarded it as both a treasure and a curse, a living weapon, a guardian, and a challenge that proved his supremacy. And yet, today, a human had been summoned. His name was Ethan Kane, an unremarkable man by most standards, though humans were rare in the upper echelons of Archon Prime's court. He had spent his life as a wanderer, learning to survive in unforgiving lands, trusting instincts honed through hunger, danger, and solitude. When the summons arrived, he had expected a task of labor or espionage, not to face the EmperorsBeast. The chamber that held Rathak was immense. Its ceiling arched high above, lined with energy conduits that cast shifting shadows. And there, chained loosely at the far end, Rathak lay with an aura of restrained fury. The previous handler, a half-machine mercenary, had been tossed across the room moments earlier. He groaned, nursing multiple fractures. The Emperor's advisors murmured warnings. "You will not survive. The creature has never obeyed any human. Turn back, stranger." Ethan Kane simply stepped forward. The Emperor himself observed from a balcony above, his cloak fluttering like liquid night. "Do you think you can tame it?" he asked. Ethan didn't answer. He walked closer, eyes steady, voice calm. "Who's a good boy?" Middle, earning trust. The beast's eyes fixed on Ethan. Gold glimmered against black scales, measuring, calculating. Rathak had no words, yet its gaze spoke volumes: dominance, challenge, curiosity. Every handler before had approached with fear, pride, or weapons. Ethan came with neither. He knelt on the stone floor, far from any safety or weapon, and spoke softly. "Come here. It's okay. You don't have to fight anyone today." Rathak tilted its massive head. Sparks danced across its scales as it shifted slightly, but it did not attack. Ethan reached slowly, hand open, fingers relaxed. The room held its collective breath. Seconds felt like hours. Then, cautiously, Rathak inched forward, sniffing the air around him. The chains rattled lightly as the beast's claws scraped the floor. Ethan's calm demeanor, his human warmth, and the lack of threat seemed to intrigue it. Over cycles of observation, Ethan learned its patterns. Rathak reacted to fear, aggression, and deception, but responded to gentleness, consistency, and simple encouragement. Ethan never forced proximity, never threatened. He simply talked to it, moved with deliberate care, and repeated the phrase that had first broken the ice. "Who's a good boy?" The phrase, so innocuous, carried tones of reassurance and respect, something Rathak had never experienced. It had been commanded, trained, beaten, and coerced, but never trusted. Days passed. Ethan slept near the beast, ate in its presence, and never flinched from its growls or sudden movements. Slowly, it began to mirror his actions. A tilt of its head, a cautious sniff, a gentle nudge of its massive snout. The palace staff whispered. "Impossible," one muttered. "The human, he's doing what none could." "Perhaps it senses his nature," another said. The Emperor watched silently, his expression unreadable. He had expected a spectacle, possibly the human's failure, perhaps even a tragic display. Instead, he saw progress, slow and astonishing. Middle, the test of fire. A week into Ethan's efforts, the Emperor declared a trial. The beast would be released fully, allowed to roam freely in the chamber, while Ethan attempted the final step, full trust and command. The chamber was transformed. Holographic barriers simulated open terrain. Obstacles, traps, and distractions littered the floor. Rathak, now untethered, prowled with lethal grace. Ethan stood in the center, unarmed. The beast lunged, then stopped mid-air. It circled him, studying. Ethan's calm, unwavering gaze never faltered. "Who's a good boy?" he repeated, soft yet confident. A subtle shift, ears flicked, tail swished, and the beast hesitated. Then, in a motion so sudden it surprised even the Emperor, Rathak lowered its massive head, allowing Ethan to touch its scaled snout. Gasps echoed. The Emperor leaned forward, intrigued. "You are remarkable, Lycera," an advisor whispered. "No one has ever." Ethan's hand slid along the beast's neck. "There's no need for fear. I won't hurt you." Hours passed. The beast tested him, swiping claws, snapping jaws just short of contact, rolling and lunging, but each time, Ethan mirrored calm, understanding, patience. Slowly, trust built. Rathak followed commands without force, responded to gestures, and even approached the Emperor when called. By cycle's end, the impossible had been achieved. The Emperor's beast, feared by all, had accepted the human's guidance. Middle, the bond strengthens. Weeks turned into months. Ethan remained in the palace, training and caring for Rathak. Their bond deepened, mutual respect, shared understanding, and a quiet affection that transcended language. Rathak became more than a weapon, it was a companion, a guardian, and, strangely, a friend. The Emperor tested Ethan in diplomatic missions, sending him with Rathak as a demonstration of trust and power. Alien dignitaries who had once mocked the human were forced to acknowledge his skill and courage. Lycera, observing from the sidelines, noted the change in the court's perception. The human who had walked unarmed into the chamber now commanded respect, even admiration. Ethan, for his part, had never sought glory. He simply understood one truth: every creature, alien or human, responds to patience, respect, and the warmth of genuine intent. Rathak, once a symbol of fear, now moved with fluidity beside him, listening, reacting, and, most importantly, choosing to stay. One evening, under the twin moons of Arkan Prime, Ethan whispered to Rathak, "You're a good boy, aren't you?" The beast responded with a low, rumbling purr, a sound that vibrated through the ground and straight into Ethan's chest. Ending, legacy of trust. The Emperor convened the council to recognize the human who had achieved the impossible. "This man," he said, voice echoing through the grand hall, "has done what none before him could. He has earned the trust of my beast, and in doing so, demonstrated that strength is not merely in force, but in understanding and patience." Rathak knelt beside Ethan, lowering its head in a gesture of respect and allegiance. The council erupted not with mockery, but with awe. Ethan's response was simple. He patted Rathak's head. "Who's a good boy?" he said softly. The beast nudged him gently with its snout. From that day forward, Rathak was no longer feared, and Ethan Kane was no longer just a human wanderer. They became symbols, the embodiment of patience, courage, and the extraordinary bond between a human and the universe's most fearsome creatures. In time, tales of Ethan and Rathak spread across galaxies of a human who tamed the Emperor's beast with nothing but respect, trust, and a simple phrase that carried more power than any weapon. And somewhere, in the palace gardens, the Emperor smiled. The galaxy had witnessed something remarkable, the impossible made real, not by domination, but by care. Rathak had refused every handler for centuries. And yet, When a human said, "Who's a good boy?" everything changed. The beast had chosen him. And in choosing, it had reshaped destiny itself. End.